released early from prison by Starmer. You know, this sounds something like we were reading about not too long ago in Vladimir Putin's Russia, where they were releasing killers, thieves and all kinds of people back into the community, and they were saying to them, we will release you if you go and fight for us, and then you can come back and you're a free person to live in our nation. This is so similar, but what's the motive for Starmer releasing these prisoners? Killers are being released. And you know what's going into where these prisoners have come out of? Yes, grannies who made posts on Facebook and said nothing more than probably a lot of people are saying in the pubs. Maybe that's why they want us out of the pubs, so we can't speak to one another. Yes, so anyway, a killer convicted of manslaughter over the death of a teenage boy, listen for this folks, are you ready for this? In a machete attack, was released early from prison on Tuesday in Sir Keir Starmer's drive to tackle jail overcrowding. I know, let's put the machete-wielding lunatics back on the street. Isn't it on the streets at the moment where we've got knife crime exploding? And yet they're releasing knife criminals and murderers back onto the streets, back into those communities which need protecting from these knife crimers and killers. Relatives and friends cheered at prison gates and sprayed inmates with sparkling wine as up to 1,750 prisoners, 1,750, unbelievable, were released after serving, guess it, wait for it folks, just 40% of their sentences in jail instead of half. Lawson Natty, going back to the killer, was judged eligible for the scheme because he was sentenced to 2 years and 8 months. Okay, you kill somebody with a machete, right? You kill a kid with a machete, a teenager with a machete, and first off, you'd only get 2 years and 8 months in jail. Says it all. And then, because he didn't get sentenced to more than 4 years, he gets released and has to only do 40%. So what's 40% of 2 years and 8 months? Let's just say it was 3 years. 40% is probably just over a year. Probably did a year. Unbelievable. Below the 4-year threshold, which would have seen him excluded. He had bought a knife online, which was then used to kill 14-year-old Gordon Galt in a fight in Newcastle in November 2022. A 14-year-old. This guy killed a 14-year-old. Gordon's mother said it was sickening that her son's killer had been let out early. Natty, 18, right? You waiting for this one, folks? Natty, 18. Okay, so he may have been 16 or 17 when he killed a 14-year-old in a fight with a knife or a machete. You waiting for this? A Belgian and faces deportation. He is understood to have been transferred to an immigration detention centre. I wonder how long he'll stay there before the do-gooders are knocking on the door screaming, "Free Palestine! Free Palestine! No borders! No borders! Let the murderers in! Let the murderers in!" And I wonder if these are all family relatives and probably all these kind of people who were cheering at the prison gates because there were criminals being released and murderers. Offenders convicted of violence, even if it is manslaughter, are eligible for the early release scheme as long as the sentence is not more than 4 years. I mean, that is just absolutely horrendous. Sex offenders, terrorists and people convicted of domestic abuse offences such as stalking and coercive control are excluded. Right, okay, as far as I'm concerned, violent offences are in the same category as sex offenders, terrorists and people who commit domestic abuse offences such as stalking and coercive, etc. Especially in this time with this knife culture. What is that saying? Unbelievable. There was a party atmosphere of prisoners where inmates were being released. Prisoners thanked the Prime Minister and praised Labour for the policy. So basically, Labour have now got criminals for their supporters who haven't served their time, who haven't paid their debt to society. You'll never be able to pay your debt to the family of those you macheted and hacked to death for this prisoner who was released. You'll never be able to do that. At HMP Wandsworth, Liam Fitzpatrick, 34, celebrated his release from a 3-year sentence for assault, folks, and driving offences with his arms aloft saying, "I'm grateful to Starmer, I'm a lifelong Labour supporter." Labour supporter. Out with the old and in with the new crime. In with the new. Outside HMP, ISIS in South East London, the J-Bar Ben Aloudia, 20, a convicted drug dealer, freed 6 months early from his 2.5-year jail sentence, said he would also now be a lifelong Labour voter and boasted he was going to get it, a slang for intoxicated, to carry on doing more crimes, no doubt, and dealing with drugs and doing whatever happens once you deal with drugs to other people who are innocent bystanders. I thank Labour because I've come out early that I was supposed to, so I'm just happy. It's a very good policy because it's given a lot of prisoners a lot of hope, he said. One released prisoner was driven away from Pentonville Jail, sounds like something in the States, from Pentonville Jail by a £200,000 Lamborghini. Some free prisoners admitted they expected to be back. "I don't want to be re-offended by getting recalled, I'm 99% sure," said one freed HMP Brixton after serving 5 months for assault. A homeless ex-prisoner told the Telegraph he would be sleeping on a park bench on a Tuesday evening and would end up returning to prison after he was released early without sorting any accommodation. Yeah, I think some of them are just happy to be in prison because they've got 3 meals a day, a nice warm bed, Sky TV and everything else. They need a shower in their little cubicle. Yeah. That's the way it is. And how much a month? I think it's something like £49,000 a year for your average prisoner the taxpayer's paying. And just think, that granny who was a carer who was sent to prison for making a post on Facebook, I think she got about 1.5 years, 2 years. Not more than 4 years, so will she be released early? But she won't. But anyway, she's now costing us £49,000 a year, the taxpayer. But Starmer's releasing all these lunatics back into the street. Jack Crane, 54, who said he is in and out of prison constantly for petty offences, was released from HMP Wandsworth. He criticised the early release scheme as rushed and said the authorities were just ticking boxes. Yes, as usual, the ticking box sounds like the NHS. But anyway, we won't go there. So at least this Jack Creighton can see sense and understands what's happening. Speaking to the Telegraph outside the prison gate, he said, "I'm going to be sleeping on a park bench and I'll no doubt start drinking and then I'll come back." So he obviously didn't get any help when he was inside. It's all a big scam, folks. It's all a big scam. What's it leading to? What are their motivations? Why have they ran down the prisons? And I'm going to suggest something now. I believe they want to privatise the prisons. Yeah, this will lead to, like in America, privatisation prisons will also mean a huge increase in the prison population for crimes which are just not crimes. Thought police, folks. Thought police. It's coming and it's going to be run by private companies. And this is why they've run it down. They'll get them all in and it'll be the more prisoners you have, the more money the taxpayer is paying towards the prison, the new private prison service. And that's what's going to happen. Mark my words. Victims spoke of being devastated by the early release of their attackers. Natty's victim, Gordon, died in hospital 6 days after being attacked by Natty and his accomplice, Carlos Neto, 18, in Ellswick, Newcastle. They were convicted of manslaughter and unlawful work. No, it should have been given the worst, most biggest sentence for manslaughter there, whatever. They're carrying a knife with them and they've used it. Gordon's mother, Diane Barnett, said they had been told Natty could be bailed from the immigration detention centre. Bailed from the immigration detention centre he's been sent to. Fair enough to let petty crimes out, but not somebody who's killed a 14-year-old child, someone who purchases machetes. Exactly. And if he goes on to kill somebody else, goodness me, unbelievable. The streets are not safe, and Labour are making the streets not safe. Speaking to the Telegraph outside the prison gates, he said, I'm going to be sleeping. Okay, I've already gone through that one, but we won't go there. What if he goes out and does it again to somebody else? I think it's a massive risk in these circumstances for someone to be let out after such a small amount of time, she told Breakfast TV. I feel totally sick to my stomach that he's allowed out now after only 7 months. It's absolutely sickening. All I've done is receive letters. He's going to be out after only serving months for the manslaughter of my child. You know what? And this guy, this Starmertron, a friend, it seems, of Putin and agreeing with Putin's releasing murderers into the community early without completing their sentences. This guy is a danger to this country. He's already shown he's a danger to pensioners. He's already shown he's prepared to allow 4,000 more pensioners this year to freeze to death in their homes and get illnesses because this guy who can't even grasp in his mental state, the Tories also can't grasp in his mental state that not to take this winter fuel payments off those at the lower end of the scale of earnings. Instead of saying, right, we'll take it off or reduced scale like they do with universal credit for those pensioners who are millionaires, who have got big pensions. No, he's taking it off right across the board. Right across the board. This is an uncaring Labour government which is only hell-bent on pauperising you and taking off the needs from those who are in the most need, the needy. You know, when Labour were in opposition, they claimed to be Robin Hood and the merry men of the people. And now that they're in office, they're nothing more than the Sheriff of Nottingham and his bloody tax collectors, taxing the poor and the needy and taking off them what they need to survive. This is Starmer and Labour. Did you vote for them? Were you hoodwinked? I wasn't. I saw it and warned people. But hey ho! Mind you, saying that, I think it was only something like 20%. I don't know, but it was well below 50% of the population actually voted them in. And if you didn't vote because you thought, well, they're just going to get in anyway, well, shame on you. I voted for reform. I'm a white racist. Far right. Because I voted for reform and Nigel Farage. Offenders who assault their partners are also not excluded from the scheme if they have not been convicted for a specific domestic abuse offence. So, offenders who have assaulted their partners can also be released early. Jason Hoganson, 53, was freed early from jail on Tuesday after being sentenced to 18 months jail for assaulting his former girlfriend in the street. So this guy assaults his former girlfriend in the street, gets 18 months, okay, and now he's being released. after just serving 40%. The court was told he slapped her in the face, pushed her to the ground and assaulted her while she lay on the ground. Hugh Hanson from Wallsend was photographed doing a thumbs up gesture as he left HMP Durham yesterday. And there he is there. There he is. There's this monster who attacked his girlfriend in the street. Downing Street said the scenes of freed prisoners being sprayed with sparkling wine. It goes on. This is what number 10 said. Asked about the celebrations, a number 10 spokesperson said, absolutely, the situation is completely unacceptable. Yes, from start to finish, what instigated these incidents, and that's you, Labour government, and you, Starmer. You're a disgrace to this country. The early release scheme is, however, no, it's not the right thing to do to make sure we did not face a situation where criminality would be left unchecked on our streets because we didn't have enough prison places. My dear me. And there's a granny who was a carer, gone into prison, and this is what they come up. This is gaslighting. It's beyond belief. A difficult decision, they said. The right thing to do to protect public safety. Oh my, we'll be working closely with the criminal justice system, prisons, probation and police to monitor this very carefully and ensure that they have the support they need to deliver this safely.